I'm not going to do it here because we're mindful of our time and stuff, but I think I will, if I was doing the story, I would slow my speech down quite a bit so that they would get the words that I want them to key in on. But I'm just going to kind of rip through it because it's short. But anyway, and yeah, we'll just do it. I would like to give you a little background on the story that we're going to hear today. You know, when God created the world, everything was very good. But when Adam and Eve chose to disobey God, then sin entered the world, and then everything was not so good anymore. As a result, among other things, there was sickness and death. You know, sin equals death. Today's story is about one of those sicknesses. This man has leprosy. It is a horrible skin disease. It affects the skin and leaves white spots that decay and sometimes fall off. Sometimes people with leprosy lose all their fingers and toes. Their hair might turn white, and it can affect inside their mouths so that they can't speak. And some people lose even their ears and their eyes. It's a terrible thing. And it's still around today, but not very much, and mostly in India. And it can be cured. But back in Bible times, in the Old Testament and the New Testament, when Jesus lived, there was no cure. And it was very contagious. Other people could catch it from people who had it. And anyone who had leprosy was required to live outside of the city. Remember when Miriam, Moses' sister, was struck with it? She had to live outside the camp for 7 days until God healed her and she could come back. If you had leprosy, you would have to shout. If you saw people coming near you, would have to shout, "Unclean, unclean," so that they wouldn't come near you. And lepers couldn't be close to people, so they couldn't work. And they had to beg and scrounge around for whatever they could find. Well, now Jesus traveled all through the land of Galilee, and he told people wherever he went about God's good news, and he healed people, not only of their sicknesses, but of their sin. This is where our story starts. One day, when Jesus was in one of the towns, a man who had leprosy came up to him and bowed down by him. And he said, "Lord, you have the power to heal me if you are willing." And Jesus said, "I am willing." And then he reached out and he touched the man. And instantly, the man's skin was smooth and soft. "Now you are well," Jesus said. "But don't tell anyone. Go and show yourself to the priest. Offer a gift to the priest like Moses commanded, and everyone will know that you are healed." But the man was so happy, he could not keep quiet. And he told everyone that he saw what Jesus had done for him. And that's the end of our story. That was so short, but there's a lot in there and we don't want to miss anything. So I'm going to go over it again and then you fill in the blanks. So when Jesus and his disciples were in one of the towns, a man with leprosy came to Jesus. He bowed down in front of him and said, "Lord, you have the power to make me well, if you are willing." So who came up to Jesus? And what was his problem? Why did he come to Jesus with his problem? And what does it tell us what that man had thought about Jesus? Well, and then Jesus said, "I am willing." And he reached out and touched the man. So what did Jesus say? And what did Jesus do? Why was that surprising? Was he afraid of that disease? How did that show how he felt toward the man? And then he said, "Now you are well." Instantly, the man's skin was smooth and soft. Don't tell anybody about this, but go and show yourself to the priest, he said. What did Jesus say to the man? And then what happened? What does that tell us about Jesus? And then what did he tell the man? Why do you think he said that? There may have been a couple reasons why Jesus said what he did about not telling anyone. It was getting closer to the time of the cross, and Jesus needed to prepare his disciples for when he was gone. And there were people who followed him who hated him, and it was not yet time for the cross. But then, in the story, the man was so happy that he could not keep quiet about it. And he told everyone he saw what Jesus had done for him. So what did the man do? And how did he feel? What do you think people thought about when they heard what Jesus had done for him? So that's, you'll have some discussion with all those little questions. Well, now, let's think about what this might look like if this story was not back a long time ago, but was now, and not about that man, but about us. Who would have sin spots? Sin spots, that is, not skin spots. Everybody would, wouldn't they? Because since Adam and Eve chose to disobey God, I lost her heart. Well, everyone has sin spots. Everybody. Well, now, in the story, we learned that people with skin spots couldn't be by people that were healthy. So if everyone has sin spots, who couldn't be by us? Only God. God is the only one without sin. He is holy, and he can't be by sin. So if God can't be by someone who has sin, and we all have sin, what in the story showed you who could help us? Only Jesus. Only Jesus can take care of our sin spots. And how can he make that disappear? He's not here that can touch, but he died on the cross. Sin is death. And Jesus took the punishment for our sin by taking it to the cross. And he died on the cross so that we could have our sin spots taken care of, so that our hearts will be clean and that we can be with him. That's how we can have our sin spots taken care of. Can you think of a way that the man, or the way that Jesus showed that he was willing to heal the man? He reached out and touched him, didn't he? He reaches out to us too. He is our good shepherd who loves us and wants us to be healed of our sin spots. In the story, how did the man feel after Jesus healed him? He was happy, wasn't he? His heart was full of love and joy. What did he do after he was healed? He told everyone that he saw. What should we do after we have our sin spots healed? We should tell everyone too. Our hearts should be overflowing with love and joy. You know, our verse is, he anoints my head with oil. My cup overflows. If we think about the story, what would he anoints my head with oil? What would that remind us of from the story? And when he healed him, remember? Because the shepherd puts oil on the sores of the sheep. And that's what he does. And what about my cup overflows? The man was so happy that he told everyone what Jesus did for him. And we should too. Our hearts are full of joy and love. And we want to share that with everyone that